Tony, thanks for joining me today. Really appreciate you jumping on the line. I feel it's really important that we are really getting out and talking to our customer base about StoneLock and the real benefit to how StoneLock can help to really add that level of security to our customers and their existing opportunities. As we discussed before our call today, I felt it was super important that I bring you into the fray here because of your existing experience with StoneLock, and you're really driving the product, and it's clear to see. So I wanted to bring you on the line today to kind of go through, what StoneLock does from our perspective, what we want to be communicating to our customer base, how important it is, and really how to change those objections that we're getting. Because biometrics, one thing that I've realized with the conversations that I'm having, and really actually after these conversations, it's changing the overall view of the product from a niche kind of high security to an everyday opportunity. So if you don't mind, give us a bit of background on who you are and what you do for Titan Product Group, as well as for StoneLock.
Sure. First of all, thanks, Thomas, for putting this together. This is our inaugural Titan on the Rocks video. So cheers to you.
Cheers.
So I'm based in Western Canada. I cover Manitoba West, and I reside in Vancouver. A lot of travel, a lot of big geographical area. And we, as you know, we have a lot of product lines, and StoneLock being kind of, I guess, our newest one. We've had it for just over a year now, but it's really starting to take off recently. And I guess the first thing we should probably talk about is the stigma of biometrics in the industry. I know when I sit down with integrators and end users alike, the first question that I'll ask is, what's your experience with biometrics? And almost everybody will say it's not a good experience, hassle to maintain. I know when I was an integrator, if I sold like a fingerprint reader, it was a license to park a service truck outside the door. We were always going back. There was always issues. It wasn't easy to maintain. It just got dirty, things, all this type of stuff, right? So these are the questions that we want to ask our customers and our integrators is, what their experience is. And usually they'll tell us in no uncertain terms that they don't like it. So that brings us to, they have kind of three tenets of StoneLock. And one of those is, is the convenience of it, right? And how easy it is to set up. And then we talk about privacy as the second tenet. And because that's the next question that people have is, well, it's a facial biometric reader. My customer, my union, that's in the union shop we have, they're not going to allow us to store pictures of them, all these types of things. So when we talk about StoneLock, this is the root why we talk about kind of two distinct areas. One is the science of StoneLock, and the second of it is, where does StoneLock fit? And so once we start talking to those points, people start to see that we really kind of negate all those just by talking about it, like having this conversation. We negate those objections, if you will,
sure,
right away. So I think it's also very important to say that this is not a webinar product. This is not something that we want to show over a webinar. If we have to, we can, but it really, what I found was, doing demonstrations with the StoneLock guys who have a nice studio set up. Greg Harmon has that, right? It shows, it looks great, but it really shows much better when you're in person. You need to have it out and showing people how easy it is to use. So those are the key things, right? And so when I'm going to see customers, I'm taking that demo kit with me wherever I go, and I'm setting it up. It doesn't take long to set up. That's
one of the benefits, right? That's one of the benefits of the product. I mean, from that perspective, and I see that is so true in our demos, right? How quick we are able to, create a fully connected StoneLock environment, and then you're enrolling the individuals within that meeting, and having them interact with the Go. It's quite an impressive piece, and really that's where the product shines, right?
Right. And so, we go through the science. It's for a lot of the our audience, when we're talking to them about this, the science is really not the exciting part of it. They really want to know where this fits in the scheme of their security.
Right.
But it's
How
important for
how
people.
can I sell it, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's important
Yeah.
for people to know, though. I mean, we need to let people know that, we're only looking at this area here in your face. We're mapping out about 21 to 2200 points using near infrared light. And that what it's doing is mapping the way that the light reflects off your skin. So then we're creating a biometric key, so it's a numerical key of your face that cannot be reverse engineered. So there's no worry with having to deal with, privacy concerns or anything like that. And we have all those, the ones that I have had that concern still brought up. We send them the network or the white papers on the product, and it answers all of that. The guys, their IT department, and they break it all down, and there's never any issues with that, right? So that's when we talk about the science, that's what we're talking about, is how that works. Also important to note that because we're using near infrared, the largest emitter of near infrared in our universe is the sun.
Sure.
This is not an outdoor ready unit right now. They are looking at coming up with one, but right now we're looking at interior, and then people will automatically say, well, that takes away half the doors. When we get a little further on down this conversation, we start talking about those doors, people will understand where the vertical that this fits in, or the verticals that this fits in. Right.
So with that, I think getting into where we're going to see this fit is very important, but also just to speak to a bit to the science of StoneLock. So you spoke to the biometric keys and how those are developed. So it's safe to say that there are no stored images of our users, right? This is a very big point for us. It is very paramount, and one of the first things that we talk about is how important that is we're not storing images of our users. We're creating those biometric keys that are part of that system, and that's where really the science of StoneLock comes together, right?
Right. So I think the key thing is that this is not a facial recognition device.
Right.
We call it opt-in. Right. And so just like if you were to present a card to a door or to a card reader to go in, you have to physically present yourself to the StoneLock reader, stop, look at it, and then go. It takes like less than half a second for it to identify you. But I mean, it's not like it's a camera in the corner on a ceiling that's constantly looking and trying to match your face to something that they have in the database.
Right.
Exactly. So we call it opt-in, meaning that it's not forcing you to enroll. You have to actually go and do this yourself and present yourself. And like you said, there's no images that we're looking. We're looking at 21 to 2200 points on your face that no one can spoof. I mean, we've done it. The VP of the company has identical twin nephews in Montreal. He took the demo back to his brother's place, and enrolled one of the brothers, and then the identical twin tried to enroll or tried to sneak by it, and he couldn't do it because they have different blemishes. The light reflects differently off their skin, all these types of things. People have tried to spoof this. There's a big tech company in Seattle that took this technology and tried to break it for about 2 years. They went as far as doing 3D masks, replicating 3D masks of people's faces and trying to do it, but the material on the mask is not the same as your skin, so it doesn't replicate the light reflection the same as what you would. So that's why the technology, the science works so well. And this isn't new. I mean, the StoneLock GO reader that we're talking about, this is a new incarnation of StoneLock's reader. This technology has been around for 11 years. They initially released this back in 2011. So all that the new leadership group has done there is really taken that same reader, stayed with that science, but they've added the convenience factor to it, it's a better looking reader, to be quite honest, but it's also just so much easier to deploy and to use on a day-to-day basis.
Right. And I mean, I guess that would play into the science of it as well, that the convenience factors that we are so excited about, right? I think you spoke to it earlier, was the pain points that we run into with biometrics, existing biometrics in the market, right? One of the big things is, interacting with one reader and then going in and enrolling on a separate reader and having to have somebody there to make sure that your enrollments are correct and managing all these pieces. From that convenience perspective, right, we have the ability to do first read enrollment or first QR code enrollment, right? The ability to utilize the QR code that you're being provided within the system to then walk you through your enrollment. So, I mean, from that perspective, you know, we look at convenience as such a huge portion of this because we don't want it to be a more work to have this higher level of security. We want it to be tied into your existing systems, and that lends to our integrations with Cantech, Secure, AMAG, Linnell, and I'm sure there's a few I'm forgetting, but it's very, very important to note that this integration and these StoneLock addition is not going to be adding additional work to your end user.
Absolutely not. The end user more than likely will never see the StoneLock graphic user interface. They'll never really access that gateway themselves. The integrator who's deploying the solution, they'll just really for initial setup. But I mean, it's so easy. You can bench test this back at your office, have it pre-programmed, and just send your installer that QR code. Once he mounts it on the wall, he just shows the QR code. It takes about 30 seconds to a minute, and it's set up. And then you're good to go. And now you can do all your enrollment, building your credentials. You know, it's all done through whatever interface you're using, whether it be Enterpass with Cantech or Genetech's interface or Secure's interface or whatever it might be. Any of the 7 or 8 integrations that we currently have out there, you'll never see that. The end user will never see that. They'll build their credential the same way as they did before, and it just acts as another reader in the system.
That's quite impressive. It's very exciting to see, and I think that you know, Yannick said it best. Every year was the year that biometrics was supposed to take over, right? And I think now looking at what StoneLock's done and what they've been able to accomplish with the Go and the gateway, it really is the opportunities there, and it's really exciting. So in speaking with actually a customer of ours today, we had the discussion about StoneLock, and we had you know, this instant kind of objection. Well, you know, biometrics, they're really a niche product, right? When are we really going to need that? So, and it kind of lended right into the conversation that we're already having, the conversations that we do have in part of our presentation. So it's kind of funny to then look at that and say, well, you know, go with me on a bit of a journey here, right?
Journey, right?
To the customer, and I say, let's go through a role play scenario, right? You're the end user, and I'm your security integrator, and I asked them, you know, I asked this customer of ours, I said, you know, who gives access to your facility, right?
Bang on, brother. I love it. I do this all the time as well.
Right. So it's like, who's giving access to your facility? And they say, well, you know, the administrator of HR or, you know, the owner of the company,
IT or the receptionist.
IT. Exactly. Whoever's managing the access system. And I said, well, you know, I respectfully disagree with you. We believe that whoever has a credential has the ability to give access to your facility. And he kind of paused, right? And he stopped and he thought about it for a second, and his head started to shake, and he realized, yeah, that absolutely. Anybody I give a credential to has the power and the ability to give that to somebody else. Yeah. So what do we do when we look at, and we will go through, you know, our doors where StoneLock's going to fit the best, but right out of the gate, you can see the wheels start turning, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, okay. Well, what if we add a pin? Well, if I'm employee A and you're employee B, and unfortunately I forget my card and I'm running out to grab something, you know, you may give me your card you may lend me your card to come in and out of the building. Well, what's even worse than that is adding a pin. I'm going to ask for your pin, right? I need your pin and your card. I mean, you're already lending me your card, which is the secure piece of information. Your pin is just another a little level to that. But I mean, if I'm already borrowing your card, why not give me your pin number as well, so I can get access to what I'm trying to do?
Pins get shared just as much as a card. It's actually easier to share a pin because it's not a physical thing that needs to be carried around, right? So
right. And I mean, even comparing that to the alarm systems, right? How many alarm systems do you know that have everybody's using the same alarm pin code to arm and disarm? So you really have no idea who's arming and disarming your alarm system. Very similar, if you're swiping your card and you're putting in your pin, it adds a level of verification, but not really that much more secure.
And to your point, and we make a point of mentioning this too, is it's not always nefarious activities we're talking about, right?
Absolutely.
Like, I think there's a story, Yannick tells it, you and Martin and him went into a meeting in Toronto a few weeks back, and Martin needed to use the washroom. And somebody said, oh yeah, but here, you need my card to get in there. And Martin had a card and he just could walk throughout the entire office and go into any door he wanted to. Like literally, we were there to you guys were there to talk about StoneLock and security. And this guy just handed over to pretty much a complete stranger access to the, keys to the kingdom, so to speak. Right.
And so, it was a point where everybody looked around the table, like the Greg, Yannick and Martin and I look around the table at each other like, could this be any more of a softball, right?
So beautiful. Absolutely. So here's what's wrong with what you guys just did, right?
Right.
So but that's true,
like
though, right?
Said,
I mean, and we talk about it, right? I mean, remember a few years ago when smart card technology came out? That was kind of the dirty little secret of the industry, is how unsecure the weekend communication format was. And we did our part to bring that to light. HID was doing it before us, but we needed to make it clear and let people know that the security was being jeopardized because of this. This is the same thing. People don't often talk about card sharing. And the story that I always tell, and I know Yannick does, and he probably told it there, is, I won't say the entity or the government entity that it was, but there was a news story on TV late summer last year. And what happened was, it was a government agency. There was a woman who was called into the security office, and they said, hey, how come you've been coming in to the office? Like 2 of the last 4 Saturdays, you've been coming in the office on the weekends. And she's like, I don't come in the office on the weekends. What are you talking about? They turned around a picture like an iPad and said, do you know who this person is? And she says, yeah, that's my 15-year-old son. And they said, okay, well, your son's using your card. What happened was the son was taking the card out of the mom's purse, and him and his buddy were going in and rifling computers out the back door, right? Like these are things that, so when we talk about, where do these fit and what the verticals are, like we have 3 doors, and we might as well just get right into it. Right now we're talking about that choke point door. And so that's one of our 3 doors. And the idea being that if they had, this kid just walked in with a card. Now, this could happen if someone dropped their card on this woman, she never went into the office on a Saturday. So if she dropped her card in the parking lot when she was leaving, do you think she would notice she didn't have her card? She probably wouldn't notice until Monday when she went to go get it in the building.
Right.
So that's 2 days of not having that card around. Somebody could just pick that card up off the street and walk in.
Yeah.
So that's, there's that issue too. But if there was a choke point set up where, you come in through a vestibule and then you have to go through, maybe it's either through, what do you call those automatic doors?
Turnstile.
Turnstile that you have to go through or something. If you had a StoneLock Go reader there, that card wouldn't do anything for you. You'd swipe it, the turnstile wouldn't unlock, the door wouldn't open, whatever you would be, until you do your facial recognition at that point. And then you would have been saved. That whole issue would have been, it would have been a moot point at that point, right? So or as my cousin likes to say, a moo point.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny that, and it kind of brings this up actually, because we talk about, what that event looks like, right, in the access software, in the access control software, right? You've got a card holder's name, their card number, the door that they're entering, and the time that it happens, right? With the addition of StoneLock here, the StoneLock's not going to impede stop the access from taking place. What it's doing is going to authenticate whether you have access or not. And what's great about that, and different from other biometrics on the market, is that when I stand in front of the StoneLock Go and it authenticates me and then I swipe my card, the access control is what's deciding whether or not I'm going to gain access through my access level. So not only is it going to show whose card was swiped and when it was swiped, but it's also going to say it was swiped by Thomas, and then the authentication was Tony. So now they've got a full understanding of what happened. We know who scanned and whose face was authenticated within the access control system. So therefore, it's going to stop those events from taking place right at the forefront, right at the edge of that facility. And I mean, while we're on this subject, why don't we move from choke points to what's our next high value door, or our, I guess what would be our high value door, right?
Yeah, so
So I
that's
mean,
the door that everybody thinks of right off the bat.
right.
So I'm just going to tell a quick story. We were doing an end user presentation in Victoria in January, and when we sat down, these guys saw a need for the StoneLock reader. They really thought that they were thinking 2 or 3 doors max. As soon as, and we showed them the technology, and they're like, this is great, easy to use. They get the science on it. They were like, yeah, we're you guys got us. You need not go any further. And then we were like, okay, well, let's just go over these 3 doors so you guys know where we fit. And by the time we got to the end of the 3 doors, they were up to 49 readers.
Yeah.
Right. Because they, like you said earlier, the wheels start turning and they're like,
Right.
oh, I never even thought about this or that. So the one that everybody thinks about is the one I think you're going to jump into right now, are those high value IT room doors, security closets,
Vaults. Yeah.
medical, hospitals where they store their drugs or confidential patient files, those types of things. Right. Those are the most obvious doors and the high security doors, right?
Yeah.
I think the one that always really surprises me is the reaction I get for the middle door. Like, we got the high security doors and we've got the choke point doors, but that middle door, the convenience door, to me, every time you talk about it, they're like, I know guys that need this, and that
Right.
door is, well, I'll ask you. You know what that door is, right?
Yeah, like our C level suites, right? Our important people, right? We all know, and we've all worked with
Let's
the
just call
C
it what it
level.
is. The guys with the God complex,
That right.
right?
Hey, you know what? That's what they are, right? And at the end of the day, you know what? If it's going to ease that time that it takes that very important person to get from the door to their office, and they don't have to swipe a card 5 or 6 times to get there, I mean, why not, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And so these are the things we talked about. When I was in Calgary last month, I was talking to a guy and I showed him the reader and everything like that, and he loved it. And when I mentioned convenience stores, he said, "Hey, look, there's this place in Calgary that has it's a man's garage." Say man's garage. I guess it's a garage, but it's a high level garage where you can park your toys. If you don't have room, let's say, you can park. So you can park up to 6 cars in there. They have lifts, so you can park 2 up top and 4 underneath. But then in this place also, it's a bar. Like, they've got like a man cave set up there. They got video games and a lounge and a bar and all the best scotches and all that kind of stuff, right? And so he was like, look, these guys want the best of the best. They're going to
Right.
want these on their bays. So not
Right.
only to get into the garage itself, but once you're in there, to get into each bay, as opposed to swiping a card, he says, I could sell probably 15 of these here. Like, it's, like,
It's very funny to look at that, eh? And I mean, it shows that you're technology forward, right? It shows that you have a your finger on the pulse of what's going on in this best of breed, top level security kind of technology. And I think that saying that, talking about those types of customers who are high end everything, right? This is a kind of a perfect fit. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. And so I'm always amazed that we get guys that are like, yeah, I know a guy that needs this because of
Right.
that. Or I know a place, like, we're in discussions with different sporting facilities to do it for player locker rooms. And like you mentioned, executive suites at stadiums and arenas and stuff like that, right? Like, these are the conversations that we're having right now that we get to that door, right? And they're just like, yeah, no, I've got that too. And that's why when you talk to an end user and you're talking to them and you go over these doors, that's why the door count gets higher. We don't go into this and we don't say, look, StoneLock needs to be on every single door in your site.
Right.
We key in on a few doors and a few key doors, but every integrator that I've talked to, and this is something for the integrators that are going to watch this, that should realize that I always ask this question at the end. Like, so when I do this, I roll this out in stages. So I go and I see the integrators first, and then I say, I'm coming back in a few weeks. Let's set up some meetings with your end users who you think would be good for this. But when I'm doing the integrator meeting, the last question I ask is, of the 3 doors, and let's just review them again. So we got the convenience doors, we've got the choke point doors, and we got the high value or high security doors, right? I'll ask them, in every access control system that you've done, however long you've been in the business,
Right.
is there ever an access control job that doesn't have at least one of those doors on it? And
Right.
like, no. So when people ask me what vertical does it fit, I say, what vertical doesn't it fit? Like, it doesn't make, vertical doesn't make a difference to us, because every access control system has one of those types of doors.
Absolutely.
That you can have, right? So this fits into every access control solution that you're ever going to create.
Yeah. And I mean, it's driven by the customer too, right? I mean, once you start, like you said, start talking about those doors, they start adding, oh, well, we can definitely see a benefit of having it here. We see a benefit of having it here. And then you finally you get to those convenience stores and you realize, I really could put this wherever we have those potential choke points, potential high value areas, or, access to our boardrooms, or access to really anywhere that makes sense to the end user. So it's quite powerful.
And what's really great about it from a Titan standpoint is for our integration partners, because Titan, we're the largest rep firm in Canada, we're right across the country. We'll come to you. We don't expect you guys to know this like the back of your hand. We're going to come in and we'll do the demonstration for you. We want you guys just to drive the opportunity, and then we'll bring it home, right? And we'll help you guys out with this. So very important to understand that we want you to lean on us, and we want you to call us about these opportunities, because as most people think, they roll their eyes, biometrics again. Like you said, every year somebody says they're going to reinvent the wheel, and no one ever does. Well, now it's our turn to do that, but we're going to come in and do that for you. That's what we're here to do, right? And we're going to make sure that you get that opportunity, gets the best value out of it, because we know how to explain it and describe it. Obviously, we do it in a more laid out format than what you and I are doing today. This is just really a conversation we're having, and we are very professional. I won't wear my Vancouver Canucks jersey into Winnipeg or anything like that.
You might start a couple fights, but hey, it's a good conversation starter.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely. No, that's fantastic. And I mean, I really appreciate you jumping on with me today to go through this, because I think that your experience and the fact that you do have Yannick in your backyard. So as that resource, it's definitely been, I'm sure, super beneficial to get on board with the product. And I mean, the week that I spent with Yannick and Greg going over these pieces, I mean, it's clear to see there's such great passion behind the product. And really one thing that I've noticed is that it's clear from the product itself is, we're not looking at a flash in the pan thing here, right? We're looking at a proven product that is consistently adding and growing what they are doing, right? They're adding in new integrations every day. They're adding support on the back end. There's always steps taken to make it more convenient, to make it easier to deploy. And really, I mean, from a sales guy's perspective, I'm able to set up a demo very quickly, very easily, and really wow my customers with little to no effort. I mean, it sells itself, really.
Right. No, absolutely. I love it. I mean, I'm not a technical guy, as we all know, but it's something that I can work it. So I always tell people, look, I can set this up. Your technicians are going to have no problems with this, right? So that's the running gag in Titan is, if Tony can make it work, then anybody can, right?
That's right. That is definitely part of the Titan razzing that you get, for sure.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I think we've kind of covered everything that we wanted to in terms of what we can do with the StoneLock product, how we can show our customers what we've got, what options they have. So really, we want to just say, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I'll make sure that there is links below to StoneLock collateral as well. If there's anything that we can do from our end, please don't hesitate to reach out to your local Titan representative, and let's get out there and start showing off this great product. So Absolutely. Tony, thank you very much for jumping on with me today.
Thanks for putting this together, man. I really enjoyed it.
Titan Products Group is a sales and marketing firm specializing in commercial industrial security solutions.
Titan provides value through industry-leading security products, experience, education, and outstanding customer service.
Our integrity, uniqueness, and unity fosters lasting and unparalleled partnerships within our industry.
We are the field.